All right. Hi everyone. My name is Hope Gallo, and I am going to be presenting on my evaluation project, Body Mind. I will preface this is my third time recording, so bear with me. My presentation is not working on my monitors. Anyways, as I said, I am going to be focusing on my evaluation at Signature Health. So before we get into the evaluation itself, I wanted to talk a little bit about the agency. Um, like I said, I am currently interning at Signature Health, which is a nonprofit located across Northeast Ohio. So they have about six locations. Um, and aside from behavioral health services, they provide addiction treatment, primary care, dentistry, women's health services, including things like birth control, small gynecological services and care, and then STI testing and treatment for any sex. Um, in order for clients to kind of engage in these services, Signature offers a lot of options. So they primarily are serving Medicaid, Medicare, and self-pay clients. Uh, and all of their services are guided by three values: people first, striving for excellence, and can do. I will say, being an intern there, clients are not the only ones being taken care of. There are amazing opportunities for growth at Signature as an employee. They also have great benefits and uh, opportunities for learning. Signature Health in 2024 alone served over 32,000 clients. And specifically at the bottom on my slide here, you see I am conducting and did conduct my evaluation at one of their residential facilities, CH Everett. Everett is an adult mental health facility, and it is a 90-day treatment program. So what that means is that the day that clients come in, they are starting their discharge. At Everett, the primary goals are stabilization and successful community reintegration. So how they do that is clients have the opportunity to participate in multiple therapeutic groups across the week, individual counseling, on-site nursing, psychiatry, case management, medicated management, and other supportive services. It is monitored 24/7, so the care staff there are going to offer them support after hours. So when I first started at Everett about a year ago, I started kind of shadowing, getting to know the clients and the facility itself, and then I began co-facilitating one of their residential groups. This group is similar and runs kind of on the same wavelength as a partial hospitalization group. The only difference is it's named something else because it is in a residential facility. And I'm not quite sure if I mentioned this, but Everett is one of four residential facilities through Signature. So the other ones are either SUD, so they are treating clients for both mental health and substance use. And then there are some adolescent clinics there. Okay, let's move on. Okay. So now we're going to kind of look at our problem identification and needs assessment, which I started touching on already. As I said, all of the clients are coming there for different reasons. A lot of the clients who are, needing some kind of crisis stabilization, needing some support with their mental health, are experiencing some coinciding issues. So this looks like chronic illness, and that poor physical wellness. I also touched on the current programming that is being offered to clients there. So it's pretty wraparound services to get clients engaged and meet their mental health goals. So, as I said, my identification for my evaluation was a structured wellness program promoting resilience and self-efficacy. So, what this means is that my evaluation, body mind, focuses on your physical mental connection. Okay, so the intervention program rationale, and I am going to kind of extend this conversation on what I mentioned already. So Body Mind is structured in five 60-minute sessions covering different topics. So on, as you can see, nutrition, gut health, sleep, wellness, and the mind-body connection. The structure of these sessions are we start with a check-in to get clients engaged and assist with documentation. And then I provided a brief psychoeducation on the topic we are going to be covering. And I will show specific examples of that later in the presentation. I think the most important part of this slide specifically is that my goal of the sessions was not to throw a bunch of information that probably won't, stick. So what I was hopeful for is that rather than simply teaching information and talking to the clients, I wanted to assist clients in increasing their confidence in making realistic changes in their routines. So what this means, I guess, is that I wanted these sessions to be person-centered, realistic, and empowering. So that's where the interventions kind of came in. And again, I will show some more specific examples of that. Okay, so we're gonna switch. Yes. Okay, so my evaluation questions, uh, primarily my evaluation question was centered on the goal of self-efficacy and resilience. And then through kind of my survey design and session design, I was looking at participation in the group body mind as an improvement in client knowledge, awareness, and resilience related to their physical and mental health. So, more specifically, I want to determine whether clients report greater body awareness, increased understanding of the mind body connection, stronger coping confidence, increased wellness knowledge, and greater self efficacy. And these outcomes align closely with Everett's larger goals of improving adults' daily living skills and preparing clients for community reintegration. So now we're going to look at the specifics in the evaluation designed and what was actually being measured. Okay, I'm down here. Okay. So, kind of guiding my sessions was a retrospective post then free questionnaire. And we kind of went over this a lot in class too. But I chose um, this kind of questionnaire rather than a traditional pre-test and post-test. So the clients completed this survey at the conclusion of the program. In addition to this, kind of just for my guiding documentation and understanding, I had the clients during the first session fill out a survey that included very general um, information about who they are and what brought them to Everett. And I've attached this as well, so we'll take a look at that. Um, so what the retrospective post then pre-questionnaire did was it rated how they perceived themselves um, now. So like after they finish and then reflecting on how they remembered functioning or what they knew as far as their body mind connection before participation. Um, in addition, through kind of consultation with the professor, I found that this approach would help reduce response shift bias. Um, In addition, participants don't fully understand the topic until after they've completed an intervention. So kind of wanted to make space for that. Um, Specifically, the questionnaire uses a 5-point Likert scale rating from 1 being not true at all to 5 being very true. So the survey using that Likert scale is going to measure multiple domains, including body awareness, mindfulness, coping skills, nutrition, gut health, self-efficacy, and goal development. Okay, so my sample survey items, I put this on here. This is just what my different evaluations look like. Um, so these are examples of questions included in the survey. Um, so I will attach my presentation if you want to look at this further. This slide is including specific my like guiding principles kind of outline of what I did during each uh, session. So, for example, gut health was kind of asking clients to evaluate and reflect on their body, mind, and spirit connection. Um, so, a lot of this is kind of turning the conversation and discussion to the client specifically, asking questions like, how has this impacted you? What does this mean to you? How do you put these beliefs into practice? And then the brief psychoeducation would be, or the introductory kind of education piece is going to be focusing on what the gut is actually made of. Um, Kind of doing this piece, like that research part, is not super effective for the clients that are there right now, because cognitively, this information doesn't always uh, land, it's not appropriate. So that's why I kind of included these pieces, allowing them to put this information into and apply it to their own lives. Again, these are all attached if you want to look more specifically. In addition, I also attach an example that was filled out by a client during one of the sessions. This is that initial survey that I had them fill out. So again, it is all confidential, so there is no name or anything like that, which I explained to them at the initial session. But this is kind of some of the questions I asked. For example, the primary mental health diagnosis, this was an optional question. This client wrote, don't remember. Um, and it also covers things such as services. So you can see this client has engaged in a lot of different services and they've been engaged for, one over, 1 to 5 years. And then my last piece specifically for accessibility was asking, do you currently receive or are you in the process of applying for any kind of public assistance support or a similar program? So just kind of trying to gauge where they're at and where they're coming from. Okay, so now we'll move on to the data analysis. So this is kind of moving through all of the sessions and then analyzing the surveys that were completed. Okay. So my analysis follows 4 major steps, and a lot of this was outlined in the coursework itself. So this includes the descriptive statistics, including the mean and standard deviation for each body mind domain. And then, as we learned in class, kind of how these things function in the evaluation. I chose a clustered bar graph, including the pre-program mean and the post-program mean across all domains for my visual representation, which is attached. So moving on, to my evaluation results. So this is kind of an all comprised data. I mean, it's everything. So um, let me see. I want to pull this up. Bear with me. Okay, so this, as you kind of see on the chart, and I'm looking at my slide as well, um, is the pre-mean was 2.7, and that means the average participant score before participating in the body mind group. The standard deviation was 0.74, and this shows how much participants' individual scores differed from the group average. So a standard deviation of 0.74 means client scores were somewhat spread out around the average score of 2.6. Variability is expected because clients come to the facility with different experiences, diagnosis, levels of functioning, and previous knowledge. Um, I hope. Okay, my apologies. I don't know if that cut out, but I was kind of covering what the data looks like specifically for my evaluation. So I left off on standard deviation. So I'm hoping that picked up. But each domain you can see is body awareness and mind-body connection, mindfulness and coping skills, gut health and nutrition knowledge, sleep and physical wellness, and then self-efficacy and goal development. So you can see here the mean change, which varies across domains. Uh, so my main takeaway was among 12 uh, you know, participants, the body mind group demonstrated an average improvement of 1.24 across all domains. So the strongest gains occurred in mindfulness and coping skills and sleep and physical wellness, while body awareness and nutrition showed more gradual improvement, which is pretty consistent. I think also mindfulness and coping skills being a stronger category makes sense because, as I mentioned, the clients are engaged in a multiple services. So they really have wraparound services, which also contributes to some of the complexities of the evaluation itself. Um, so this is kind of everything. Okay, so this is my um kind of shortened, condensed list of what I just talked about, and this was used to make my graph. So I'm going to kind of skip over to there. So this is what the graph looks like. And again, this is just my visual representation of the data I just talked about. Um, so the clustered bar graph compares average participant scores before and after the intervention across each domain, which is also reflected in the chart above. Um, And then in the chart above, again, the statistical table summarizes the specifics of my findings. Okay. So findings, conclusions, as kind of mentioned, there is based on the goals of the intervention, I would expect participants to demonstrate improvements in wellness knowledge, body awareness, coping confidence, resilience, and self-efficacy. So, as I said, those coping skills were really the strongest area. So, sorry, this suggests that body mind contributes positively to clients' understanding of health while increasing their confidence and resilience, which was my initial goal of the evaluation itself. Outside of Everett and the specific program goals of both the evaluation and the facility itself, um, I did look at the implications for social work practice. So this intervention, as I kind of guided you through, what it looked like in each individual session by providing the examples and kind of my outline. I believe that this intervention and evaluation would support person-centered care because clients had the opportunity to identify and work out goals that fit into their own abilities and lived experiences. In addition, this practice is supports, a holistic lens because it recognizes the connection of physical health and mental health, which I think is really important. Um, in addition to this, the sessions were flexible as far as really the discussion was guided by the clients. I provided the psychoeducation and brief outline of the systematic, uh, you know, biology of what we were discussing, but then the implications of practice were guided by the clients. Really just increasing that health literacy to sort of support what they are already working on in the facility. Okay, so now we're going to look at the limitations and lessons learned. Um, so let's go there. Okay. So as I kind of mentioned at the beginning, this facility, the main challenge was that it is a 90-day program, which is ran pretty strictly for lack of better words. So in addition to that, the study uses a small sample. It relied on self-support data and it did not include a control group. Additionally, because the outcomes were measured shortly after the intervention, the evaluation couldn't determine whether the improvements would be maintained long term. And quite frankly, that's with anything that they are taking away from this facility. So after they are discharged, they are kind of met with other providers in their community, and the care or their decisions are really out of our hands. Um, Despite this, I think that this evaluation was still valuable and I still learned a lot myself. Okay, and that is the end from me. Thank you for bearing with me as far as technology goes. But like I said, I had a lot of fun doing this. It was also came with its challenges in not only kind of doing small kind of sessions on just understanding the data, but I think working with the clients and being able to grow in my confidence as a social worker was really exciting. So thank you for your time, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your summer. Bye.